Welcome to today's video. We're going to talk about gout. There are some things in the medical world that just sound old-fashioned. The words have been around for a long time, or they just conjure up some kind of image of medicine from the past. And gout is one of those conditions. We all have an image that comes to mind, and many of us might have this kind of larger, portly male who's been drinking too much port and eating too much steak, and that's why they've got gout. That certainly had some truth in the past, and perhaps in the past when many people were underweight rather than overweight, those who were likely to able to eat enough meat to get gout might have been the richer and older men. But actually the processes that are going on in gout are not ones that are confined to lifestyle factors. So let's start by just outlining a little bit about what is gout. Gout is a type of arthritis, joint inflammation. In particular, it's an inflammatory arthritis, so we sometimes call osteoarthritis arthritis, but it technically isn't inflammatory. All the others tend to be inflammatory. This is not an immune attack as such. It's not the immune system activated to attack your joints. It's the immune system responding to the presence of crystals, specifically uric acid crystals. Now, these form this kind of javelin-like structure. They're little needles, and they're incredibly irritable to the immune system. The reason that they deposit is uric acid in the bloodstream can only be dissolved at a particular level. If you keep putting more uric acid into the blood, eventually it becomes saturated. And those crystals start to form and precipitate out as your blood gets saturated. And they form these needles, typically in places like the first big toe, the base of the toe, or the ankle. And that really irritates the immune system, which goes into overdrive and causes a very painful, swollen joint. So what might you have if you have a gout flare? It's characterized by such a rapid onset of symptoms, and that's one of the things that makes crystal arthritis identifiable. So patients might have gone to bed, you might be feeling a little bit of tingling in your toe, maybe feeling a bit of a twinge there. By the morning, you're waking up and the toe is exquisitely painful, red, swollen, warm to the touch. It might even have a shiny appearance as the skin is stretched suddenly, and you may not bear anyone touching it or walking on the toe, and that's the gout flare. Why then are we getting a gout flare? Okay, so lifestyle is important. We can consume foods that are rich in purines, and red meat is one of the foods that is rich in that. Consuming alcohol is also a factor, particularly beer. That's much worse than, for example, spirits. I'm not suggesting if you drink a lot, you can get away with drinking a lot of spirits, but certainly if you had an occasional drink and you're a gout sufferer, a gin and tonic might be slightly less likely to precipitate gout than perhaps a pint of beer. But anyway, so is that the only factor? Well, no, that's the whole point of today's video. It's not just about your diet, but also about your genetics. Other conditions you may suffer from, which are related and may have a genetic component, include high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and diabetes. Also being overweight, which we know has some genetic component to it. All of that we characterize as metabolic syndrome. So if you have a metabolic syndrome or one of those facets, you're more likely to have gout. And then finally, how do we get rid of uric acid? It's removed from the kidneys. It is passed out in the urine. Some people don't have a proper receptor to do that adequately. And so even if they address their diet and they haven't got diabetes and cholesterol and etc., they may still struggle with gout flares. In some parts of the world, gout is more common and may even come on in your 20s and 30s. Okay. What are we going to do about it? Well, firstly, diagnose it. Ideally, we might take a sample of the fluid, put it under a microscope, see those crystals because we can be categorically sure. But we may say, look, you've got a good history. It's affecting a typical joint in the toe. Your blood test might show that the uric acid is high. Let's go ahead and treat it. We would treat it with medications to calm a flare, drugs like non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, or colchicine or steroids. And then we want to reduce your uric acid level with drugs like xanthine oxidase inhibitors, agents that make you pee out more urine, uric agents. Very occasionally, you might use the drug that breaks the uric acid down itself. All gout treatment should be accompanied by a good education support so that you can understand how to modify your diet, how to improve your lifestyle risks, and of course, looking for and addressing metabolic syndrome features like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, and being overweight. So I do hope that's been helpful to understand a bit about gout. If you want some more information, you can visit the gout page on my website, and from there there's a number of links to gout charity organizations. Have you found the video helpful? Please leave me some thoughts or comments. If you like the video and find it helpful, give it a like, share, or subscribe to help with the channel's visibility. Thank you.